Hey everyone, this is Weeble. We're going to do a tabletop review of the AR-15. This one here is a buddy of mine's. You've probably seen a million shooting videos for AR-15, so this one's just going to be a tabletop review. Kind of a criticism more than anything. So I guess we can get started. Obviously this is a 16-inch barrel AR-15. I guess we can start with, I guess we'd call the pros or the good parts of these things. I'd say the good parts are ergonomics. The AR-15 is pretty much the benchmark in ergonomics. Everything built fairly recently after that is going to copy AR-15 as far as the pistol grip, safety selector, mag release. You know, it gets an A+. It was ahead of its time when it came out. Yeah, safety selector. It's probably the best there ever was or will be. These are extremely popular. I wouldn't have to tell you that. They are kind of the American rifle. And also, as of late, these are fairly modular. I mean, this one is sporting some Magpul hand grips and a Fab Defense collapsible stock. All of it's pretty nice furniture. Magpul sight on the back, and I'm not sure what that front one is, but nice. These are fairly light, depending on whatever barrel size and profile you get. They're light, and you know, typically these are accurate rifles. Easy to shoot accurate. That's the other important thing. Something can be accurate, but if it's hard to shoot, you know, you don't realize it. Where these, they're fun to shoot, they're pleasant to shoot, and even a rack grade AR is capable of pretty good accuracy. And to the extreme, if you get something like an SPR with an 18-inch, I mean, you're talking half-inch groups all day. They're easy to reload for. So yeah, they got that going for them. Now to the bad. I've owned a few ARs. I've got friends that got ARs, and there are some weak points. Why don't we go ahead and break this down a little bit, and we'll show you. Okay, let's see here. I'll break this bolt down a little bit more here. Bolt carrier. You got a cheesy cotter pin holding the whole works together there. You have a non-spring loaded firing pin. That can be a point of contention and danger. If you get a lot of sand or contamination or crud in there, you can have the firing pin stick in the forward position, causing a possible out of battery. There's certain safeguards built into the rifle that should stop that from happening, but it can happen. Yeah. Most modern firearms, I'd say the AR-15 is probably the only one in recent memory that does not have a spring-loaded firing pin. My next point of complaint is, I would say, the bolt carrier here. I've got a couple friends that have Colts. I've had one that broke. Eventually all of them will break, is this carrier key here. I had a friend, it was Colt, actually broke one of these bolts off, and what happens is this gas is directed through there into the bolt carrier and bolt, and if they become loose or they break, this carrier key lifts a little bit from the bolt carrier, and what you'll have is a single shot, like a bolt action. It won't work, or it won't cycle properly, and that's why. So yeah, that's bad, and it's, I mean, I'm talking, you know, out of my friends, they all had that happen. It's not rare. It's not uncommon. And two of them were Colts. If you do have an AR, you should look to make sure that these bolts are properly staked in place. If not, you can do that yourself with a chisel or a punch. Kind of prevent that from happening, hopefully. On a slightly less important note, the timing on these is a little unusual. It's very abrupt. It locks, it unlocks. If you look at something like the SCAR 16 or the 17, you know how that cam pin is. They're a lot more gradual when they unlock. ARs aren't. They're pretty severe. They're locked and they're unlocked. And when the weapon was designed with a 20-inch barrel, that was probably just fine. But now you see these shorter and shorter barrel lengths, and it messes with the timing. So what you're getting is there's still residual pressure in the chamber and the cartridge, and this thing is trying to extract that and fight that because it's unlocking so quickly. 16 inches is, you know, you don't see it a lot, but it, you know, it's something to be aware of. The shorter and shorter the barrel you get, the more that can raise its head, be a little ugly. And that brings me to another point on the AR that I don't like. It's just fundamental with the design. This is a bolt. You see this here. You know, your cam pin goes in there. And there's hardly any material on either side of that. And there again, I've broken bolts. I've got a friend that broke 2 bolts. It's a definite weak point to the design. And it's just the way that is, and it's unfortunate. I mean, there's no way around it. You look at it, and there's hardly any material in there. And to the next point I dislike is the extractor on these things. It's probably the pussiest extractor of any modern firearm I know of. I mean, it's got a frickin' ballpoint spring pin, a ballpoint pen spring in there for an extractor spring. And to help mitigate that, they put some of the more modern ones, put a little neoprene rubber ball in behind it. Because what was happening is, if you stored the weapon loaded with a cartridge in the chamber long enough, the spring took a set and wouldn't extract properly. So their fix was to put a little neoprene ball in there to help with spring fatigue. That just seems like a terrible band-aid. You hear of it on a lot of full auto ones. They'll break the locking lugs. I've never seen or heard anything of that nature in the civilian world. I guess a possibility is, you know, a lot of things don't, with normal civilian shooting, wouldn't pop up. You know, we're not doing full auto mag dumps and stuff on typically these things. And that being said, in the military version, they do. And one of the other bad things of this design is all that heat is channeled into the bolt and bolt carrier, and I suspect what's happening is it's messing with it's getting so hot in here that it's messing with the temper of the bolt, possibly. I don't really even know. But not a big fan of the bolt carrier and bolt. I think it was a little short-sighted. And yeah, let's see here. Get this back together. Let's see. Yeah, I guess, and you know, these, like I say, I mean, if you don't run these super hard, they're fine. They do like to be clean. I guess another beef of mine is, you know, you take a gun like a HK91 G3 or an AK, and what makes them so reliable is they call it overstroke. And what I mean by that is the bolt carrier on an HK91 or an AK goes back about 40% farther than it needs to reload the weapon, and then it goes back forward again. Well, the advantage of that is momentum. On an AR-15 here, that's hard to show it, but if you've got one, it's got to go back, and it goes back just far enough to eject the cartridge and then strip another one in. So you've kind of got that almost a dead spot where it's got to stop, change directions, and then go forward again and charge around. And there's not much over travel on that. It's got to stop, change directions, and then strip the cartridge forward. And I think that's what makes like HKs and AKs reliable, is they're overstroked. They go back far farther than they need to, but that gives them extra momentum and energy to strip off around. If the chamber's corrupted or dirty or whatever, it's going to slam it home. To me, these things are like Porsches, Special Forces love them, and I understand why. They're easy to shoot. You got a lot of firepower, lightweight. That said, somebody in Special Forces or whatever, they've got a lot of support to make these things work. You clean your weapon, you go out on a mission or patrol, and you come back, and you do the same thing. You've probably got outstanding armorers. To me, these things break a lot. And it's kind of circular logic, all these AR guys are like, oh, I'll buy an AR because, you can get parts for them, and you need to store parts. And it's kind of circular logic. I mean, it's like buying a car that breaks all the time because, parts for it are cheap. Well, anything can break, and they can and will. And I'm not saying AKs or HKs don't, but I've had thousands of rounds through HKs and have never broken anything. And I've had thousands of rounds through a few AKs and never broken anything. And I've had thousands of rounds through AR-15s, and I've broken a lot of things. So, yeah, take it for what it is. But that said, these are fun to shoot. They're accurate, they're fun, they're light, and then they're fairly modular. If you want to get rails or flashlights or scopes, any of the more modern flat top ARs, it just bolts on there. So it's got a lot going for it that way. So I'll probably get some criticism or some heat for criticizing it as much as I do, but for a lot of guys that were in the military and it's all they've ever shot, that's all they ever know, so you might have a high opinion of it or a low opinion. I've talked to a lot of service members that absolutely hated ARs, so let me know what you think, and I'll probably talk to you later.